it would really help if I hit record ahead of a video. Just a quick little interjection from future me. There is some news. We have got 4 brand new spanking races coming back in 2020. Istanbul in Turkey is coming back for the first time since 2011, sometime in November, I think. There are then going to be 2 races in Bahrain, the Bahrain Grand Prix and then the Sakhir Grand Prix, and then the finale in Abu Dhabi. I'm fairly sure after reading the article that they're going to keep the season at 17 races, and they're going to be happy at 17, which I'm also happy at 17. After having the year that we've gone through at the moment, 17 is a good number of races. And with that, back to present me for the video. Hello, my name is Alex Does F1 Stuff, and welcome back to a pre-race review for round number 7 at the Belgian Grand Prix around the circuit of Spa. And I've been a bit of a numpty. I've just spent the last 8 minutes talking to myself, and I thought, right, I'm up to a nice sensible point to just pause, take a little sip of some water, look over at my recording system on my other screen, and I haven't hit record. I didn't do it. So I was rambling to myself for 8 minutes, and none of it was being recorded. Which is just perfect, just my luck. Anyway, it is round number 7. We've finally got some racing after 2 weeks off, after having 6 races in 7 weeks. It has been glorious. But now it's back to, I suppose, business as usual. I think we've got a double header coming up in Italy, or it may actually be another triple header, actually. I think it's another triple header, isn't it? Because it's Spa, Italy, then Mugello. Yeah, it's another triple header. Wow. Anyway, we will look at the championships and exactly where we have left off from Spain. It is Lewis Hamilton leading the way comfortably, 37 points from Max Verstappen in P2, 6 points to Valtteri Bottas, and then a mammoth 44 all the way down to Charles Leclerc. Now, interestingly, I have made a video just recently excluding Mercedes and Verstappen from the current 2020 championships, and it looks much the same, but the only difference is Leclerc isn't actually leading. So if we simply exclude Mercedes and Verstappen right now, it would be Leclerc from Stroll, from Albon, from Norris in that nice tight pack with Perez coming up to meet them as well. But in the actual exclusion of Mercedes and Verstappen and then shuffling everybody else up and them scoring the same points, it is Stroll that ends up leading the way from Albon, from Leclerc, from Norris. Which is a little bit interesting that if we simply just exclude them now, we have one result, and then if we exclude them and then shuffle everybody else up, we get a different result. So there's all sorts of different ways of looking at the 1.5, or if you want to call it 1.5 after excluding just 3 drivers. It's quite interesting to see. But if we take a look at the constructors and where we stand now, it is Mercedes unbroken in their lead from Austria so far. 86 points covers the gap from them to Red Bull, and then there's some 70 points back from Red Bull to Racing Point, who have just 2 points. 2. That's it. That covers them, McLaren and Ferrari. Renault find themselves in a bit of a lonely 6th place. I think there's about 20 points between them and Ferrari, and then a further 10 or 20-ish points to AlphaTauri, who are comfortably above Haas, Alfa Romeo and Williams. But there is a big but. There could be rain. If we take a look at the forecast for Friday, 50% chance of rain, 18 degrees at Spa. On Saturday, 60% chance of rain, 16 degrees. And then on Sunday, for race day, 80% chance of rain and 14 degrees. And please, for the love of God, let there be rain for the race. I would love a rainy race this season, and then 2020 would actually be pretty damn decent, to be honest. But I am recording this on Tuesday. It's currently Tuesday. So weather may change, you never know. There's still like 4 or 5 days until the actual race at least, and I think just 3 until Friday, so it could all change, but there is a high possibility that there is going to be rain. We were teased in Spain that there could have been the threat. There was that threat of rain in Spain, but it just never came. and that rhymed a lot better than I was expecting it to. But anyway, we do also have the Pirelli tyre selections for the dry compounds, as they always bring the wet weather compounds. C2, C3 and C4, one step softer from those that they brought in Spain. Which I suppose is quite interesting, because normally for Belgium they bring the hardest compounds because the track is so long that they just bring the hardest compounds so that they don't just wear out after 3/4 of a lap. But looking at this weather, I don't think we're going to need them. But if we just rewind the clocks by 1 year, we of course had the tragic incident in Formula 2 involving the racer Antoine Hubert, which rocked the motorsport world. And that race was won by Charles Leclerc. It was his first Formula 1 victory and first for Ferrari in 2019 as well. Are they going to be able to repeat said success this year? Probably not. So they were running a sort of Spa-ish setup in Silverstone anyway. Their wing was just wafer thin, and they didn't have the greatest deal of downforce on that car to try and make up for the speed deficit that they've got on the straights. Just generally, their power unit is down, so they're trying to strip that downforce away to try and recoup some of that. And to see them again still slightly off of the pace of, for example, the racing points and the cars that they want to be in front of, I feel that's already going to set up to be a bit of a struggle this Grand Prix weekend, considering Spa is literally just straights. I think you spend like 70% on full throttle. They're gonna struggle. And we can't talk about Ferrari without talking about Sebastian Vettel as well. He had a decent race in Spain, but that's probably partly because Charles Leclerc had retired, so Ferrari could only focus their attention on him. But that is a conspiracy theory. There's no concrete evidence towards that. It will be interesting to see if there is any radio communications at all, as allegedly there wasn't any during qualifying, and then if there are any radio communications during like the race, etc., how sort of blunt and how vicious are they, how unfriendly are they? As it's not great to see a driver of Sebastian Vettel's calibre sort of just fall out of love with the team that he signed for, the team that he's won for as well. It's a bit rough to watch. But what I really want to see this weekend, if it rains, I want to see Lewis Hamilton racing Max Verstappen in the rain at Spa, possibly the two best, or probably definitely the two best wet weather racers on the grid, and then arguably some of the best wet weather racers of all time as well. It would just be mega having these two just bash it out in the wet, where the car advantage sort of negates itself. In the rain, the car doesn't really play as big of a role as it does in the dry. It is mainly down to the driver's balls. How big are they, and how hard can he push that car, and how committed is he through all of the corners? So definitely, if it rains, that is the battle that I want to see. But it is also going to be a monumental test for Valtteri Bottas. Currently, 43 points behind Lewis Hamilton. It's a shame. I think he even said after Spain, my only good race was Austria. It's all been downhill from there, which it has. I think he's lost something like 56 points, which would put him literally right there. It all started in Styria when he just didn't win. He didn't overhaul Lewis Hamilton, didn't continue that momentum that he had from race 1 into race 2. Then he had that no point score in Britain as well, which just didn't help in the slightest. But yeah, it's just gone downhill from there, and now being overtaken by Verstappen really doesn't help. But if we take a look at the racing points, they had their best race in Spain, and traditionally their car goes well at Spa. They obviously had their pole back in 2009, their first podium, and I mean even their first points back in 2009 around Spa as well. But they have changed the philosophy of their car. Their car is no longer a racing point, as it is now a sort of Mercedes lookalike-y. We know the Mercedes always goes well, we know the Mercedes is good, but I don't know how well Racing Point are going to do, because we've seen, yes, their car looks like it, but they don't have the operational functionality, I suppose, that Mercedes does. They don't have the ability to run at the top because they don't know exactly how to do it. So it will be very interesting to see how well they do. Are they going to beat the Red Bulls? I'm not sure. It's going to be too hard to tell. If there is the rain, I don't think they will, because I think they don't have... I don't think they've got yeah, in the rain, I don't think they will. In the dry, they've definitely got a good shout. And up next is McLaren. Spain was a turning point, definitely. They've had a poor couple of races since Austria, since the first 3 rounds. And then both Britons were a bit iffy for McLaren. They didn't really step up to where they were in definitely round 1 and round 2. And Spain was better, much, much better, especially for Carlos Sainz, P6 as well, Lando Norris in the points as well. So hopefully they can carry that momentum on into Spa and into this next triple header. And then up next is Renault. They had an absolutely torrid time, a miserable, awful time in Spain. Both cars out of the points. Did any of them get into Q3? I don't think they did. And to have also their new big boss there as well, it wasn't the best showing from Renault this year. I still feel that they're definitely, they feel sour towards Racing Point still. That's always going to be there until this matter is concluded. But they should hopefully do better. They may possibly challenge the Ferraris this weekend, as they seem to be decent in the straight lines at some points. And if Ferrari are definitely slightly slower, if they've taken all the downforce off their car to try and recoup some of their straight line speed, they may just be up there. And then up next, AlphaTauri. I suppose they had a mixed race in Spain. Kvyat was very unhappy, but Gasly was happy. That midfield battle in Spain was ridiculously close. I think about 10 seconds blanketed about 6 or 7 drivers as they crossed the line or something like that. But are they going to aim for more in Spa? Definitely. Are they going to achieve it? It's so hard to tell with AlphaTauri. It is so hard to tell. And then we've got Haas, a team that did so well in Friday practice in Spain, and then it just disappeared. It just went. From Friday practice, both sessions, they were in the top 10. At least one driver was in the top 10. Sometimes they had both. And then Saturday morning practice, they were at the back again. And then qualifying, both cars out in Q1, and then in the race, they were nowhere. It was odd. It was very odd. And ahead of Belgium, again, I'm not sure what they're going to be able to do, as that Ferrari power unit is down, so they may have to strip off all that downforce, but then they may lose something and may lose setup in taking off all of the downforce. I'm not sure. And then if it rains again, I don't know, that's just going to throw another spanner in the works for them. I mean, even Williams struggled in Spain as well. Looking at the past 6 or 5 races, excluding Spain, they were doing alright. A much better year than 2019, actually being able to beat other cars on the track in qualifying, get through to Q2, and then Spain, it wasn't. They were at the back. I think they were second last and third from last in qualifying, and in the race they finished behind everyone apart from Grosjean, who had some incidents during the race. But Russell managed to see some positives out of it, but I'm not entirely sure what those positives were, as looking at the results, they weren't fantastic. And finally, AlphaTauri, off the bat of their most successful race. I know they scored points in Austria, but half the grid retired in Austria, so it's a bit of a sort of outliery race. But Spain, they had some pace. They were able to beat the Haas cars, they were able to beat the Williams cars, which for the past 6 races they haven't been able to do. Are they going to be able to repeat that in Belgium? Again, it's a Ferrari power unit in the back of that car. They may struggle a lot. But that is all I've got for you today, guys, for my pre-race review ahead of Spa. Catch me in the next video with whatever and whenever I decide to make it. I'll see you guys then.